Hello. So we are working on Barton level 5, lesson number 6. So this is talking about the change rule. The change rule is going to apply to words that end with the letter Y. So we take the base word copy, and if we want to add a suffix to it, no matter what kind of suffix it is, whether it is a consonant suffix or a vowel suffix, you're going to change your Y to an I. So we can see that in a word like copier, base word copy. The sound of the Y does not change there. Okay, so if we change copy to copied, it would also, this Y will keep the same sound. So we would change our Y to an I, and then we would add suffix ed, meaning in the past. So we go to our next word, which is try. Now, that Y at the end is saying I right there. Remember, the Y has two sounds at the end. It says E and it says I. Most often it says E, but every now and then it says I. And in this case, it does. So if we change this from try to tried, same thing, change your Y to I and add your suffix, okay? Now we're going to talk about if a word is plural, okay, meaning more than one. And so in this case, we want the word to be tries. And so what we're demonstrating here is that if your student forgets that we add an ES, they would make this weird kind of closed syllable here. So instead of this saying tries, like I gave it many tries, it would say tris. This would become a closed syllable. This I would now change back to its short sound, and it would say tris. So we remind students that whenever you change your Y to an I and you're making it plural, you add an ES. Okay, we can change the word from reply to replies, meaning more than one. Okay. All right, take a look at the word plenty. It says E right here. Something interesting happens on occasion to some of these words when we change them from 2 syllables to 3 syllables. Plenty to plentiful. Now, we did teach this today, and my client did not know what the word plentiful meant, kind of standing on its own. But when I used it in a sentence, he was able to understand it. So every now and then, some of these words look weird when they're just on the screen all by themselves. So using them in a sentence is very helpful for them. So in the word plenty, we had the E sound. Now in the word plentiful, we have 3 syllables, and often this I will change to its short sound. Follows what we call the confident rule there. All right. Now we also worked the other way, and we showed kids or your student the full word, muddiest, and had them change it back to the base word. So we changed it from muddiest. We got rid of the suffix, changed our I back to a Y. Actually, it is going to be a suffix, so it's green. And then the smaller part of the word is actually just mud. So we worked on them both ways. We also talked about a word like sick, and then it's the word sickly. And then let's say you want to add S to it, like it was the sickliest kitten. Well, no matter where the Y is in the word, you will have to change it to an I. So in this case, the student would exchange that for an LI. So sickly to sickliest. Let's skip ahead to the kind of exceptions too. So we have a few exceptions to this. And here we go. All right, and so we have a word like cry, and we want to change it into crying. So following the rules that you just learned, you would change your Y to an I, and when you would add your suffix. But that creates something funky, which is 2 I's. I always say 2 I's on your face, not on your paper. American words do not have 2 I's next to each other. You're going to say, what about a word like skiing? And I'm going to say that's not an American word. So 2 I's on your face, not on your paper. But when you're dealing with a suffix that starts with an I, which we have a few, we have ing, ist, ish, and itty. You will not drop your Y. You will keep it, okay? And that's why this still says crying or baby-ish. He was acting so baby-ish. Okay, well, ish starts with an I, two I's on your face, not on your paper. But now let's say we're going to change it into babied. He was babied. Now we do change it because ed does not start with the letter I. You do not have two I's on next to each other. Okay, a few other words. We have a word like hobby, to hobbyist, same thing. And here's our second exception. Our second exception is going to be for vowel teams that have a Y in them. Right now we only have one, stay. In level 8 we will get two more, but we don't need to discuss those right now. So stay, AY. When you have a vowel team, remember those two letters are working together to make one sound. So you will have to keep them together. So the word stay becomes the word stayed. We do not change our Y to an I when we are dealing with that vowel team. We can change it to stayed or stays. Same thing for a word like gray and grays or grayest. My hair was the grayest of them all. Okay, so those are the places. That's the teaching for 5.6. Your student also has the decision tree that they can use for this. So now they know base word. Does the base word end with CVC or does it end with a Y? So again, the ones that end with CVC, that is called a doubling rule. CVC, double for me. Change Y to an I. Okay, this is the change rule. You change the Y to an I. All right, let's look at, start from the beginning. Oh, right here. So the practice work for this, we have add a suffix to the base word, write a new word on the blank line. Hint, watch for words that need the change rule, which again, the two times we're not, is if the Y, if the suffix you're adding has an I in it, or if there is a vowel team AY. Everything else you get changed. And then you also have to remember that when you're adding, when you're making something plural like city to cities, that you're using the ES there. Okay, so this is done for you. So you can take a look at that. I have highlighted the couple ones that I think are a little bit trickier. This is just read the first column, find the word that it rhymes with, so chillier and sillier. And then box off each suffix, write the Y above each one that followed the change rule. So I did not finish that. So this actually, some of these are going to have two suffixes on them. So let's do that together. So luck, there's two in here. So we did have luck to lucky. Ooh, that's way too big. Holy cow. Kids love this. Rose gold. They always use it. Okay, lucky to luckily. We have one suffix on here, just full, and that was a Y. We have babies. So suffix, and that was a Y. And stickiness, okay? So again, we have two suffixes, ness, and then the Y that changed to an I. That will be a Y there. Copyist. Somebody who copies, copyist. We have another one? No. Sickliest. Again, two suffixes on this. Oops. Sick and Lee and S. So in Lee, you did change your Y to an I. Manliness, again, two suffixes. Y here. Jumpier, two suffixes. Jump to jumpy to jumpier. And if your student is struggling with saying like jumper here, then I would absolutely think of this like a math problem. Jump plus jumpy plus which then jumpier. I would make him say all three of those words. Only on envy, there's only one suffix. Snow to snowy to snowier. I would have your student do it exactly like that if these become challenging. We'll talk about that when we get to the fluency as well. Swaying, not a change rule, and trier, change rule. Okay, now let's look at the fluency drills. On page 102, again, if your student starts reading a word like this as funker, I would make them box off or take off the suffix and remind them that the Y changed to an I, that was a suffix. So we've got funk to funky to funkier. And I would have them continue to do that. Here's another word, box this off, take it off. You can decode your base word. Again, remember the A and the Y stays together. Decaying. So same thing here. So a lot of kids would read this as chunker and skip the I, and we want their brains to really slow down, recognize that, and decode that properly. So chunk to chunky to chunkier. So that is it for level lesson number 5, or lesson number 6 in level 5. Please let me know if you have any questions about anything. And let's make sure I switch the screens. Tell me I switched. Oh, I did. Good. Okay, so make sure your student is decoding and not guessing. That's how they take the power back. Thank you for stopping by.